everybody. I'm Lee Cade, and this is VINI. Today, we're doing another installment in our Community Connection series where we just talk to different people that we work with as an agency. Today, we have our special guest, Lakshan Lingam, who is what exactly do you do at Encircle?
So as of this week, I'm now our director of marketing at Encircle, and I'm really excited about that.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
And of course, also joining us here from Valley Behavioral Health, we have Justin Anfinson, who is the operations manager not only at Valley Plaza, but at about 5,000 other programs.
Not quite that many, but hopefully we'll get there. That'd be
Yeah.
great.
Well, the more programs we have, the more services we can provide for people at need. Lakshan, if you can tell me just a little bit about Encircle and what you folks do.
Yeah, I'll give you just a really high level. This is what Encircle is. So Encircle, we are an LGBTQ outreach center, and we currently have 3 locations in Utah. So we're open in Provo, Salt Lake City, and St. George, and they were open in that order. We offer life-affirming therapy, culturally competent therapy. We offer friendship circles, which are basically support groups. We offer parent programs. We have drop-in hours, so anybody can stop by unannounced, uninvited, and just hang out in our space.
Because people need space, right?
Absolutely.
And how long has Encircle been around?
We opened our first location in Provo in 2017, and that was our first home. And Encircle, we were originally intending on being in Provo, and then we saw so many people driving from northern Utah and southern Utah to our programs and our services. We had lots of folks coming down for therapy. So we decided to open our locations in St. George and Salt Lake City, and we're currently in the process of opening 8 more.
I know I saw on your website that you're working to expand into Ogden and Heber. And I know for folks in the community, that access to just acceptance and community can actually be lacking in some of these smaller areas.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's great to see. So why, this is going to be kind of a strange question, but bear with me. I have a purpose behind it. Why are these services, why is this community, why is this safe space so important to people in the LGBTQ plus community?
It's a big question. So really, we needed to create safe spaces for people who are LGBTQ to come and really embrace and create positive emotional experiences with their identity. While Encircle is not a homeless center, and that's not what we do, we offer preventative services that bring people, LGBTQ people, allies, and their families into our work, into our space to learn more about the LGBTQ plus community so that homelessness, suicidality, isolation, depression are never even a question. And we really want to build an environment where LGBT people embrace who they are and feel comfortable in all the spaces they are and understand how much value they bring to the world.
That's amazing. And I love that you're there to do that. Now, Justin, with your experience, why is it that we're seeing such a need in the youth community in particular?
There has been, previous to this, like such a lack of services and places for people to go, with people being more open about their sexuality and people being more willing to talk about like the mental health issues that come with that. This is we've been building to this moment through decades of advocacy work, just being visible and being open with what the needs are. I think we're seeing a lot more people being available and coming out and saying what they need. So now we're seeing all of these resources pop up. Not to say that these resources haven't been needed previously, but now we finally have them and we have all this great stuff happening now. That's so great, especially for the youths.
Have you noticed that with perhaps more people coming out and more visibility for people in the LGBTQ plus community, that perhaps that's helping our legislators or our community providers or service providers realize that there's a desperate need for services?
We've definitely seen that in Utah for sure. Like when our elected officials and representatives talk about the LGBTQ plus population, like they're not just talking about this kind of ambiguous pride flag that it's kind of been in the past. Like they're able to actually put faces to what that actually means and say like, oh, here is what this decision will mean to this specific person in this community at large. So I think it's helping a lot, and that takes a lot of vulnerability and bravery from our community, and I feel especially proud that that is happening, but I think it's making a huge difference.
I was born and raised in Provo, and I didn't come out until I was about 19 up here in Salt Lake City. I've seen so much progress in the years that I've been up here. I think here at Encircle, we are really, really firm believers that we want to amplify stories and amplify queer voices. And I think by doing that, we hear more and more about the experience of LGBTQ youth in our communities. It can be immensely helpful to our legislators.
That's great. I know the visibility helps a ton. And I know, especially like Utah County, the people I know who were in the community in the 1980s and the 1990s, that was not a place that you felt safe coming out.
Mm-hmm.
How have our two agencies been able to work together historically?
So I think here at Encircle, we are always looking to build more partnerships, and we're so excited to be doing more. We both service communities that marginalized communities, and we really seek to provide mental health services to both. And it's been really, really awesome to know that we have a partner that we can rely on.
So this is kind of a new partnership that we're trying out, and we're really excited about it because Encircle has such great opportunities for a lot of that day programming, like specifically for that LGBTQ plus population that Valley just doesn't right now. So I think that fills such a need for a lot of the population that we're working with. We're really excited about the possibilities of that.
So if somebody comes into a Valley program, for instance, say a young person who might not be able to receive services at something like Valley Plaza, or if VOA's Homeless Youth Resource Center isn't a good fit for them, Encircle may be a good fit for them. What does your typical Encircle home look like?
Every Encircle home, we work to renovate, and we really want them to reflect the value of the youth that walk in. We really want the youth to walk in and walk into an incredible space that they know is theirs and that they can really take ownership of. So each home is built by the community for the community. Everything you'll see in an Encircle home is donated or given at cost, which has been really, really awesome in creating these really cool spaces.
And how can people get involved to help Encircle continue to build its mission? Because I know you're definitely, like you're saying, expanding into 8 more homes here.
Yeah, it's super exciting. And there are lots of ways that you can help support Encircle. So really, in every home, we have a dedicated staff of full-time and part-time employees that really manage the day-to-day operations and programs of that home. But we rely really, really strongly on our volunteers. And we have over 3,000 volunteers trained and ready to go in the state of Utah. But we're always looking for more because we have volunteers in our homes, helping facilitate those conversations with you, helping keep the upkeep of our Encircle locations. And we're always looking for more folks to join. So if you want to volunteer at Encircle, it's just encircletogether.org/volunteer.
And of course, monetary contributions are always welcome.
Really, the biggest one actually I'll focus on is our monthly donor program, our community circle program. And every Encircle home is really sustained by people like you and I just giving $5 to $10 a month.
Okay, well, that's what I'm going to be doing as soon as we're done recording. You'll be getting a contribution from me because I think your mission is beautiful, and it's something that we should all rally around because we help our kids, we help our future. The history of acceptance for the LGBTQ plus community has been a rocky one, and especially when we look at the availability of mental health or behavioral health services over the last, say, 30 years. We've made a lot of progress, but I think there's a lot of progress that still needs to be made. How does the future look to the two of you?
That's something that I've thought about since joining Project Rainbow, just kind of like understanding what the historical barriers have been with LGBTQ plus people looking for mental health services, because it wasn't that long ago that any type of sexual orientation that wasn't straight was classified as a mental illness. And this was happening in the 60s and 70s. Like, it's not ancient history that this was happening, and still happens today for a lot of people. A lot of trans people are having a lot of difficulties. The DSM isn't super friendly to trans people right now. And I think there's been a lot of advocacy and a lot of really thoughtful conversations about what that means. And I think if we can understand what those barriers have been historically as an organization, like, that's helping us a lot understand this is why we're having struggles with this population, or this is what we're not seeing, and here's what we can do to be better in the future. So I think we're not quite there yet, but at least we can see like what the road ahead looks like, which I think is really valuable and helpful for us.
Just going off of what Justin says, I think the future for LGBT youth and young adults and just families in Utah, it's so bright. I'm so excited to know that we have so many different LGBT organizations doing such incredible work in our communities. I know that as we move on, we have so many different companies and organizations really taking the time to assess their preconceived biases and assumptions and really start thinking about LGBT advocacy in the workplace and in their spaces, which has been really awesome. And I think as we move forward, that trans voices and voices of LGBTQ people of color are just going to be more and more amplified. And that is just so powerful.
I love it. Justin, how can folks within Valley Behavioral Health, how can they ask questions?
That's a great question. So we have a dedicated Slack channel to talk about all of this. It's an open Slack channel, so anyone can join. It's called Project Rainbow. I think it should pop right up if you search for it. And that is a great forum to come and ask questions and figure out what Valley is doing to help and make things better and how we're engaging our community partners. And then you also a lot of great resources for you as a clinician to maybe see what your blind spots are and see what you're missing and talk to other clinicians about how they're addressing these issues. It's just a really great place to learn, and really like education, especially the act of educating yourself, is really the first step that you can do to make progress.
And you may not even know you have those blind spots until you're confronted with them. And And
Right.
also wanted to touch on this really quick, Justin. You have what I consider to be a very, very powerful pronoun education that you can provide to different departments within Valley. So if somebody in one of the departments here at Valley was going, hey, wait a second, we really need to have some understanding, a better understanding of how pronouns impact people, can they reach out to you to get that scheduled? Or
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach out to your supervisor to contact me, or you can reach out directly. I know I've got about 5 or 6 programs on my schedule for June and July so far. So it feels good to kind of take it on tour and go visit Valley programs and talk to people about this. So yeah, absolutely reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to come out and do that for you.
it's the Pronouns Roadshow and
Yeah.
coming to a program near you. And Lakshan, if people had questions for you about Encircle and the program services that you folks provide, how would they get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch with us is honestly just on our website. We have a little chat box at the end, and you can submit any questions you might have, and we'll get back to you super quick over text. And you can also reach out to me, and my email is just lakshan@encircletogether.org.
Thank you so much. I appreciate both of you for taking the time to talk with us today. You're doing fantastic work, and I enjoy talking to folks like both of you because I feel like you're making the future look a little less dreary, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much.